And with that, I would like to ask my good friend and colleague from the great state of Oklahoma, Mr. Kevin Hern, to join us here.
Thanks, Kat.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for doing this. Thank you all for being here today. I spent the first 5 months of this year as a Republican Study, Budget, and Spending Task Force Chair working alongside many of the incredible folks you see standing behind me here. And as the speaker said on multiple occasions, show us your budget and we'll show you your values. And so her budget is showing that she wants to bankrupt America, which is totally an atrocity for the American people. When you look at the so-called budget that the Democrats are putting forward right now, it's clear they have no respect for the taxpayer. Far too many Democrats have forgotten this most basic fact. The federal government has no money. They have the taxpayers' money. And every dollar comes from the American taxpayers, and we're hearing from them now. $3.5 trillion in an unimaginable sum, more than any of us can fathom. And that money isn't coming out of thin air. It's going to come from you. Under the Tax Cut and Jobs Act, families in my home state of Oklahoma received an average cut of $1,700. Pelosi's budget reversed that tax relief and placed the burden of unpopular agenda on the American families. And let's talk about the debt for a minute. Every American family has to live within their means or else accumulate debts. Your debts impact your credit and your budget. If you have debts, your family must adjust spending levels to accomplish paying off the debt. And like every American family, the government has to factor in our debts to the decisions we make, except Democrats like to act like our debts don't exist. They think it's impossible for the United States to default on our debts, that we spend as much as we want, when we want, with no consequence. When I first came to Congress just 2.5 years ago, at the beginning of 2019, our national debt was $19 trillion. This time next year, we'll be approaching $34 trillion. Congress has spent $13.3 trillion of your money on COVID relief. Of that, about $8.7 trillion has been put to work. Where's the other $4.6 trillion? Why are we talking about spending another $3.5 trillion? This is insane. This monstrous package is nothing more than a wish list for the fringe left. I've spent the last several weeks back home in Oklahoma talking with Republicans, Democrats, and people who couldn't give two hoots about what's going on up here. None of them wants this in the bill. They don't want to see this spending. Pelosi and Biden are catering to the few vocal members on their left, and they're leaving the vast majority of Americans behind in the process. A drastic expansion of the federal government is not what we need. The Green New Deal is not what we need. This is a blatant contempt for the American taxpayer. It's time for the taxpayers to speak up, stand up, and fight back. We do not accept Pelosi's agenda. We will not be on the hook for Biden's failures. And we sure as hell do not consent to this kind of reckless spending, wasteful spending, and useless spending of our nation's capital. Thank you. And Kat, again, thanks for doing this.